Put your red shirt on and a brown coat too. Everybody's joining the crew. We got just one drink that we rule them all. Hope you remember your towels. Get your Ulu fingers and your needler guns. A sonic screwdriver or a sword +1. Use Valerian steel if it will get you to come. To the big tank. To the big tank. The Rocky Mountain big tank.
Hi, I'm Guy.
Hi, I'm Troy.
And this is Geek Tank.
Your Oh No, There Goes Tokyo, Go Go Godzilla sized podcast.
So today we've brought our special guest back, our dear and lovely friend, Mighty Bakudan. I'm going to bring him on here right now.
Do it.
Hello.
Hello, darling.
How are you?
Oh, fine.
Oh, good. Good.
Thank you for joining us.
Oh, sure. Thanks for having me again. I try to be interesting.
We were coming apart.
Yes. Yeah, we have that issue from time to time.
So we got two topics we're going to cover tonight. We're going to talk about the Snyder Cut of the Justice League film. But first, we're going to talk about Godzilla vs. King Kong, both of which Guy has not seen. But he's also given us permission to spoil it away.
Yeah.
So warning, there will be spoilers.
Yes, indeed. Yep. There be spoilers ahead, meaty. So
yeah, the Snyder Cut I haven't seen because I just don't have 4 blocked out hours yet.
Well, see, they have this invention. Yeah, unless it was a Star Trek movie that was.
If it was Star Trek, I have all the time in the world.
Yes, but they have this fabulous invention called the pause button.
Yeah,
and even when it's streaming, you can pause it and go watch some Star Trek and then come back and watch the rest of the film.
So I was going through all of my old digital stuff on my computer and trying to sort it, and I found a thing, a notes file from 2003, and I opened it, and it says Kevin is at 2 hours, 14 minutes, 37 seconds. It didn't tell me what. But wherever Kevin was, he was stopped there. And I wonder if he is still to this day stopped there.
I was speculating that it was on a VHS tape.
Right?
Yeah.
I have no idea what. I assume it was a DVD of some sort, but I just like the fact that I had made a text file, and that's all it said.
It was actually that's where you'll find Kevin in the Snyder Cut of
right now.
Justice League is 2 hours and however many.
Yeah.
Yep. He's in there being punched by Superman, as we all know he deserves to be.
He deserves to be. I noticed that as I also go through like random these, I've just got like, there's like I was supposed to watch the end of that movie. I marked that I was there, and I'm like, I don't remember what movie that was. As I become, it's like daddy brain that just eats at your brain. Like I have to go put the kid to bed, and then I'll come back and be like, I was doing something, but I can't remember what it was. So
yeah,
I guess it wasn't important.
Biology has had its way with you, and now now you get no more resources.
Right, so. Ravaged my brain. So
it's even worse for your wife. Yeah,
yeah. So, she ravaged my brain too, but that's a different thing.
I had to look up Superman versus Godzilla.
Hello, yes, Brent. You did.
So that's a thing.
That's a thing.
Oh, I believe it.
Brent, we're probably going to spoil the heck out of Godzilla and
King
Kong and the Snyder Cut.
And the Snyder, not Schneider. The Snyder Cut is it's very different.
That's a very different cut.
So what's interesting is watching the new Godzilla films through young eyes, because I went and saw Godzilla King of Monsters with my son Nick, and he liked it. It didn't blow him away, but he enjoyed it. And then both my younger kids that are 11 years old, Victor and Taryn, tried to watch King Kong or Godzilla versus King Kong, and the action doesn't kick in very quickly. It's about 30 minutes before the first big fight.
Yeah.
And so I lost one of the twins. They're like, meh, and they left. And I tried to call them back in when the fight started, but they had already lost interest. But the other one stuck with it all the way through and actually enjoyed it. So that was nice. Immediately tried to show him some of the old ones. And it's just, compared to the special effects, it's hard to go backwards.
It really is.
If you don't have that nostalgia there. Because like for me, I could watch the old ones. They're still fun for me to watch. But it's something I will be doing without my children, apparently.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, the series that has come out with King of the Monsters and with the Kong films and others, and them trying to tie it all together. I've had my complaints about them in the past. The biggest one being that the monsters for which the films are named seemed to be background pieces. What do you got going here?
Those are the actors that all played Godzilla.
Oh, the actors that played the monsters.
That's actually a very big street.
We had no idea, and they're walking next to the Amazon jungle.
Right.
So
and
it's hard to
really
tell.
Just
need a sense of proportion there.
Yeah.
Right.
And so I would go to see Godzilla, or I would go to see Godzilla fight King Ghidorah, one of my other favorites, and I would get 3/4 of the film about an interpersonal drama starring what's her face from Stranger Things, and I'm like, no, I want to watch the monsters fight. That's why I'm here, to see the monsters fighting. And it seemed like in the first couple of films, it was like, oh, the monster fight's happening in the background, but here's the drama. And like, no. And what they've learned, they've grown, and they've figured out what we want. And what we want is to watch the stupid monsters punch each other.
Right.
I mean, the trailer that got
fight.
me to go, exactly, the trailer that got me to go to the movie in the first place, King Kong punches Godzilla across the face, and I'm like, yes, that's what I want. That's what I'm here for. I'll give you $20. Let's do this.
Some hot monkey on lizard action.
Right? Exactly. Even my father was like, what the heck is the point? Oh, I guess it's just the reptiles versus mammals, as it's always been. See,
I could have done with I would have liked 50% more fighting, but I was happy with what they did.
Yeah.
But it wasn't just the drama between 11 from Stranger Things, but you had like 3 other human backstories happening at the same time. That it's like, can't we just have one group of humans that we tie in, and just loosely?
Yeah.
Like someone that owns a hot dog stand that gets stepped on at one point. They're like, oh no, my hot dogs. And then we cut back to the monsters fighting.
Yeah, exactly. Brent made a great point. One of the cooler bits was Kong comes across an axe that's clearly made of a Godzilla spike.
Yes.
And the implications there of the history of what Kong and the explorers find in the Hollow Earth, which I would also love to see them introduce more Fortean weirdness like that. Hollow Earth and Orgone waves and all sorts of bizarre stuff fits quite well in those universes.
Yeah, we could have Dwayne Johnson travel to the underground.
Exactly.
Discover all the weird stuff.
Dwayne Johnson versus Kong. Oh wait, they did that one.
Is that like the rock paper Kong thing?
No, they made a movie. You remember Rampage, the video game?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they made a movie of Rampage with Dwayne Johnson, and I watched it because I hate myself, but it wasn't
my share of stupid movies too. So
some of them wasn't the worst thing I've ever seen. I was waiting for it. Yeah, Rampage the movie. That's exactly it. And they made a movie out of a video game about monsters destroying a city, and they used stuff in the game very cleverly, or from the game in the movie very cleverly. And I was like, this is not bad. This is an example of how you can actually translate a video game to a movie. Big spoiler
on that one, and I really don't know if anyone would have taken this chance in the first place, except for maybe me. But the storyline in the video game is it was humans that get changed into these monsters. Is not the storyline in the movie, but I'm wondering how hard that might have been too much to disbelieve
Yeah.
to
Maybe.
suspension of
Maybe.
disbelief for them to do that. But I
Yeah.
thought I liked it. The fights were cool looking. They didn't feel
Mhm.
cheesy and faked, and
Yeah.
it was worth the $1.50 I paid to go see it. So
Yeah, and it was worth the streaming time that I spent streaming it. So
so yeah, back to King Kong.
back
Godzilla
to
versus
King Kong versus Godzilla, of a similar but not quite the same film. Yeah, the implication of the ancient Kong society inside the Hollow Earth and their war/alliance with the Godzillas uh, was very intriguing to me, and potentially sets up more movies in this vein. That hopefully they will remember that what we came for was to watch the kaiju punch each other and knock each other into buildings.
Yeah, I mean they could even do a whole prequel of
Yeah.
like this is what it was like hundreds of years ago.
Yeah, and there'd be no buildings to trash, but it would still be awesome.
They could trust those little cavemen. Yeah,
Oh yeah, like
Like-
that. That's
like in-
that's entertaining.
yeah, like in Pueblo, they smash all the little cave things.
This is why you bring back Godzuki.
Oh,
So that he can kick
you
all the,
had to
all the
mention
butts.
Godzuki.
I always mention Godzuki.
Yep. So something that I don't know if they've brought up in previous Godzilla movies or not that I thought was interesting was the kind of the Highlander sense, where Titans can sense there's another Titan around over miles away, which I'm like that. I like that because that explains how they just happen to end up in the same spot in the same city, and that that was kind of neat.
That was something that they took from the Japanese films, because I remember that being an element in other films where there would be Godzilla versus somebody. It's a big planet. Are they going to happen to run into each other? No, we have to have a reason that they find each other. So yeah, you're right. The Highlander sense, which I think is a good way of putting it, is necessary to make the whole thing work.
Okay. There can be only one.
Yeah.
Did you have you? First of all, I know Guy hasn't. Have you seen Deadpool 2?
Me many times.
And you recognize the sidekick to
Yes,
11.
I did. Yeah,
I kept
and
wanting him to stab one of the monsters with his ass pin or something about it, but never came up, of course.
never did. No jokes about his prison wallet or anything.
No.
So yeah,
Uh,
the look on Guy's face there is worth it all, right
Yeah.
there.
Well,
someday I'm going to make him watch the Deadpool.
yeah, no, actually, I really want to see the Deadpool movies. I just know that my kid will materialize out of thin air as soon as I start playing those movies. He will beam in.
And he'll be running around the house going, I'm going to stab you with my ass pin. And that.
They're both streaming on Hulu if you have that. So yeah.
Yeah.
So I would like to see. I don't know if they can get the rights, and they'd have to pull it off in a way that wouldn't look too cheesy. Would be an Ultraman and Gamera somehow getting them into the Godzilla films. But don't know if they'll do that.
Speaking of Gamera, did you spot Gamera in the background of Godzilla vs Kong?
I did not.
He's on the screen for half a second. Nope. As they're coming into the Hollow Earth, we're watching monsters and things fly around, and one of the monster bird things flies by, and a creature walks up, and we see its head kind of turn up toward the screen there, and I was like, there he is. So and I was hoping,
monster.
yeah, I was hoping he might show up, but then he did not. But I was like, that was very definitely Gamera. And so when you watch it, Guy, keep an eye open.
Keep an eye out for it. Yeah,
for him there.
I'll enjoy that. That's cool.
Yeah. So, but just showing, I think it was showing that there are other kaiju in the Hollow Earth. So, as opposed to the ones that have made it to the surface, like Godzilla or Kong.
I was just looking to see if anybody's posted about that cameo, but I'm not seeing anything at the moment. Cool. I'm trying to think what else there was about it. So I think the overall story needed better writing, but that's unnecessary in a kaiju film typically.
Yeah, there's no what was I was telling somebody else? I was like, you go to a Jackie Chan movie not for the in-depth plot, You go to watch Jackie Chan kick the hell out of 700 people. Same thing for a kaiju movie. I don't go for the story. I'm not here to watch Kong and Godzilla get couples therapy. I'm here to watch them duke it out.
To be fair, that would be kind of fun.
That would be funny, you know. Kong and Godzilla sitting down. We need you to communicate. Use your words, Kong. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So it'd be a thing. Yeah, well, I mean, it's the same thing with Pacific Rim. That was like, everybody was like, oh, Pacific Rim didn't have a very deep plot. And I'm like, I didn't go to see that movie for the plot.
This ain't Shakespeare, pal.
I wanted to see giant robots kick kaiju. That's what I was after.
Yeah.
And boat.
And boat.
Boat was the best part.
Yeah. That was awesome. It was absolutely fantastic.
What I was after.
Yeah. I was like, there we go. I got my $20 out of it. Okay,
right?
Good deal.
Exactly.
Oh.
Nothing wrong with that at all.
No?
I don't know why people have these expectations.
Yeah. Well, that's the first complaint that people have. Oh, the story wasn't very good.
Yeah.
Was the story, the last boxing match you watched, did it have a good story? Was there a good story?
Do you go to like baseball games and cry about the fact the plot's not very thick?
Exactly.
I mean, they cry because it's a baseball game.
Yeah. When they wake up, anyway.
Yes.
Yeah, 7th inning stretch. So, but I guess in a way, if you think about it, to some degree, these movies are kind of like our baseball games for the geeks and the football games. We're not really there to look for a deep plot, but I can see people who aren't geeky and not really nerdy, and they're like, I went to that movie and all I saw was a monkey beating up a lizard for like 2 hours. What's the point of that?
See, if it was 2 hours of fighting, I wouldn't be complaining.
Right?
You're complaining that 30 minutes.
I'm complaining. They wasted 30 minutes of monkey on lizard action with people talking about how their moms and dads died and they are lonely and need therapy now,
or how therapy for the humans,
or how there's some big government conspiracy. The lack in plot, though, I think it at least had some funny dialogue. So the characters weren't horrible. They were better than average in some aspects. It's yeah, I don't know. It's not. I guess I give it like 3.5, maybe 2 or 3 stars out of 5, just because it's
like out of 12. I was like, whoa,
out of 12, wow,
out of 5,000.
Out of 5,000.
But yeah, because all you can do really is compare it to the other style of films, and there hasn't been a ton of kaiju films coming out. So with the
usually when they do bring out the kaiju films here, they mess them up, which is what Beatant's kind of going for there. And I agree with him. They like, you remember Godzilla 2000 that we were all hyped and really excited about, and then it was like the worst movie ever. It was horrible.
Is that the one with Matthew Broderick?
Yeah,
maybe. I think I slept through too much of it now.
And
I remember all the Taco Bell tie-ins. And
the Taco Bell tie-ins.
Freaking cups with the Godzilla head on the top of it there, and it was like top secret because they changed how Godzilla looked, and they wanted to keep the design a secret until the movie came out. And so the day the movie came out, you can get these stupid cup toppers at Taco Bell.
Yeah, and the Chihuahua kept making Godzilla jokes, and
oh my god, I
remember that
Chihuahua. Yeah,
it looks like Godzilla 2000 is a different movie than the one I'm thinking of.
Maybe
it had Jean Reno in it. It did have Jean Reno. Hang on,
But
Jean Reno Godzilla. Let's look for 1998. So it was just called Godzilla.
Yeah, but I mean that was the whole thing. Was like, Brent's saying it wasn't bad, and it wasn't. It's kind of like Starship Troopers. Starship Troopers isn't a bad movie. It's a bad version of Starship Troopers. And there's a significant difference there. As far as like, if it was Aliens 3 or Aliens 5, that's not so bad. But the fact that they missed the key points in the novel for Starship Troopers, that was sort of like,
That is another discussion entirely, and I'm going to just say right now that I disagree, but not for the same reasons.
Mhm.
Starship Troopers, the movie, actually is good, but not as what you think it is. Like I said, it's
Mhm.
another discussion we'll have on another episode.
It's a
We
whole
will.
episode to discuss that. Yeah, because
Yeah.
it's way deeper
I mean-
than people give it credit for, I think.
Yeah.
It really
I mean,
is. Yeah.
Yeah, I actually really liked Starship Troopers in a vacuum. You know what I mean? Like by itself. So we'll get into that.
Yeah.
But like I feel like that was what was going on with Godzilla 98 was, it's not like it was a horrible film. It's just that it wasn't Godzilla. It was like they Americanized Godzilla and
There's a
turned him
story
into
behind
a
that.
big monster stomping on New York just so they could have a
Yeah.
big monster stomping on. But there's oh yeah, go ahead.
I'm sorry. There's a story behind that.
Okay.
1998, with the technology of the time, they were making the movie of Godzilla, and they received information from the Toho company about how Godzilla should look and act. It was an 88-page fax, internationally faxed from Japan. And consequently, because of the incredibly poor, not only translation, but the quality of the fax that they got from the Toho company, no email, no phone call, no meetings, an 88-page fax from Japan.
Huh.
And they said, well, okay, let's just do the best we can. And it came out like that. So,
Yeah, but I mean, in 1998, I had seen 85% of the Godzilla movies.
also true. Also true.
I mean, it's not like it was a top secret Japanese thing.
Yeah. But
Although we're talking about Hollywood executives and producers.
That's true
so
too.
They sometimes live in a totally different bubble than us geeks.
yes.
So I have a friend who I haven't seen for years now, but he loved Godzilla to the nth degree. And his favorite was Godzilla Final Wars, because in that one, they have the Godzilla from the 1988 movie show up, and the original Godzilla just like smites him like in a few seconds. It's just like, you die because you're stupid looking type thing.
Yep. The Japanese integrated the 98 Godzilla into the pantheon and just called her Zilla. And Godzilla Final Wars, Godzilla fights all of his pantheon there, but Zilla shows up and Godzilla goes boosh.
Yep.
And then he stands there for like 10 seconds
Posing.
and he's like waiting. Is Zilla gonna get up? No.
Nope.
Okay, later. And he just strides back out to sea. And it was very, very telling, yes, of what they thought.
That's awesome.
Yes. And of course, Jean Reno wasn't the professional, or otherwise he would have just shot Godzilla and he would have died.
Exactly.
And
One shot, one kill.
Then walk away with his plant. I think one of the things I love best about the Godzilla versus King Kong film was they kept Godzilla chonky. That he was. They didn't try to make him look like a sleek fighting machine. They left him as just the big beef wall that he is.
Yeah, he's thick, as the kids would say.
Wall of lizard beef.
That's right. I liked that design too. That looks thick and sturdy. Absolutely.
And they did try to fix one of my problems with just the whole concept of King Kong versus Godzilla, which way back in, what was it, 90, not 98, is like earlier than that, 80 something. King Kong is small.
Oh yeah.
1/3 the size of Godzilla, because an entire human spans his hand, whereas Godzilla, an entire jet fighter spans his hand. And they made Godzilla a little bit smaller, and then they had one throwaway line where it's like, King Kong's getting bigger. Just sort of left it at that. So maybe he's like that creature from Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Him, where he grows to fit the size of his environment or something. But you couldn't
John is getting wider.
Yes, you couldn't have Kong his original size, because it would be no contest.
Yeah.
Point. So it's the CGI definitely top notch in this.
Yeah, the other thing I liked was the cinematography overall. Like they had good camera angles. There was good scenes where it's like the camera itself is flying through the
Leon is
battle, and you're
getting
like, is that the
larger.
side of a building? No,
That's
that's
it.
an eye. That's Kong. That's holy crap. And really neat things like that that made it so awesome. Also on the IMAX. I know I keep harping about the IMAX, but goddamn, it's that good. So, but yeah, the general filming of the whole thing, I was like, this is really good. So, yeah, good stuff.
Mhm. Yeah, and it's definitely perfectly safe for Kai to watch as well, if you're wondering.
Sure.
I actually was thinking I might just sit down and bring him in and have him watch too.
Yeah, that's what our family did. We munched on Easter chocolate and popcorn and watched a movie, and as soon as the popcorn was gone, one of the kids was gone.
Yeah, and I mean, I think that somewhere along the line, maybe I might be able to convince my beloved wife to watch it too. She certainly has experience with the Godzilla flicks in Japan, so the original Japanese versions anyway.
Mm.
So she might be into it.
Yeah,
I think it'd be good. We've been wanting to bring back our, family movie night concept because we cleared all the Marvel movies and, we watched them all in order. And that was kind of fun. So now we are kind of hunting around for other movies to watch as a family.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because stuff like Falcon and Winter Soldier and WandaVision are not really good for under 13.
No.
There's like some moment, especially Falcon and Winter Soldier. It's like if my younger kids were to watch it without telling me and like try to be sneaky about it, I would be okay with it. But when I'm there as a responsible parent, I have to not let them watch it because there's enough violence and cursing in it that
you feel kind of uncomfortable.
Yeah, but I highly recommend the shows.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think I have anything else to close out with Godzilla versus King Kong.
Yeah, just go in expecting an emotional tour de force that's going to
Oscars nominations for
closure and spiritual growth. And no, he punches Godzilla across the face. That's what you're there for.
And a tree. He gets the tree.
No, he never does do the tree.
He didn't do the tree? Because I thought I saw that in the previews because they were comparing it to the old one where he got the tree and shoved it.
He shoved something else down his throat, but I won't spoil it.
It wasn't a tree.
Oh, okay. That's not what I said.
He does throw a tree into the air early on. But
that may have been what you saw. Was he does manhandle a tree and like flings it, but
it was a MacGuffin tree.
It was a MacGuffin tree. No, he grabs I believe it grabs a vehicle, doesn't he, and just tries to shove it down Godzilla's throat to stop the breath weapon. He grabs something. I don't remember what.
That's right. We'll watch it. We'll see.
Watch
something
it.
happen.
Correct me. See what they find.
Yeah. Anything could happen. Anything.
So let's move on to Justice League.
Justice League. My gosh.
The Smyer cut.
The Smyer cut.
I'm just making up newer versions of it every time.
I know. That's how you do. I was trying to think of the Oscar Mayer cut. That's the one.
The Oscar Mayer cut.
Yeah.
Nothing
pure
like
baloney.
Yeah. Okay.
There
go to the Slauson, cut off your Slauson. Yeah.
There's so many things with the Snyder cut, and we've talked about it inadvertently in how we were expressing our disappointment in Joss Whedon.
Yes, and I am extremely disappointed in Joss Whedon as well. Every time I hear something new, I get more and more. I get more and more disappointed. Yeah.
Yeah.
But one thing I will say about the Snyder Cut is you can tell the parts where Joss Whedon rewrote the dialogue, because one thing he is good at is rewriting dialogue and conversations between characters. But at the same time, the thing I enjoyed about the Snyder Cut was that the Justice League, once they get together, they're so much more cohesive. There's no bickering, there's no dithering, there's no I'm Aquaman. I do my own thing. Blah, blah, blah. No, Aquaman just nods and goes, "Yep, let's do this. Let's go." And it's much more enjoyable in that regard. The reason it's 4 hours long is that there are at least two members of the League that have not had movies.
Mhm.
And we need their background. The biggest one, of course, being Cyborg.
Yes.
And I'm truly bummed that the Cyborg movie is on the rocks and unlikely to happen, because he was the best and biggest improvement in the film, and really, really enjoyable.
Now, HBO, I believe, owns some DC rights because they do have other DC shows.
Mm-hmm.
So if enough people ask for it, I would think there might be a chance they might do a separate series, depending on the cost and everything.
Yeah.
One, like, I recently fell in love with the show Doom Patrol, which has Cyborg in it, but it's a much younger Cyborg.
I got a quick question. Cyborg is the same Cyborg from Teen Titans, right?
Correct.
Same character?
Yeah, Victor Stone.
Okay.
And
Check
so,
in.
yeah. And he has like triple to quadruple the amount of time and story in the Snyder Cut that he did not get in the other one.
Yeah.
Basically a throwaway character, just like the Flash was in that. And to some degrees, I would almost say Wonder Woman was almost a throwaway character in the original version, because she only got like one scene in the bank, and I can't remember if she got a second scene or not. Really,
she got that opening scene, and then that was her big, and then of course the big fight scene in the dam.
Mm-hmm.
But once again, that's something that we can blame on Joss Whedon.
Yeah.
So.
And it's, there's a lot more of her in it. I thought you were going to say the reason it's 4 hours long is because there's about 30 scenes that are in slow motion.
There are a lot of scenes in slow motion, but there's also the Flash. If you don't put the Flash in slow motion, then there's nothing to see. Boom, he's gone.
He's the Flash.
Yeah.
So now the Flash has appeared in Supergirl. Did they move the actor over, or is this a different actor?
There's multiple universes in the DC universe, and I think they actually have a scene where the Flash from the TV show is talking to the Flash from the movies.
Okay.
And,
yeah, well, there were shattered universes in Supergirl too.
Yeah.
So that made total sense. I follow that, ironically.
Yeah, and in fact, I really liked a lot of the lines and the way they portrayed the Flash, because the character in the movie, because he was a fanboy who has superpowers.
Right.
And I was disappointed to find out that the actor that portrays him apparently has some questionable sides to his behavior. So it's I don't want to say for sure, especially like Whedon, a lot more stuff's coming out. I'm more comfortable saying Whedon's looking like a dirtbag, and I hate that because I like a lot of his work. Whereas I'm worried about this actor and the things I've heard about him, but regardless, as the character Flash, I like his interaction with Batman a lot. One thing that I was thinking is that, if Batman was wrong, he would have killed Barry Allen right there in that room, because he would have stuck a batarang in his eyeball.
Yeah.
It's like, it's a good thing he wasn't wrong. So
that's another thing I was just thinking about. I haven't heard anything from like the Firefly cast, really.
The ones I've heard from are backing and giving support to Charisma. And then the other actress who played Buffy's younger sister, Dawn. I can't remember the actress's name now, though. Michelle Trachtenberg.
Trachtenberg. Okay. Yeah.
So the two of them.
I was just, at first I was like, well, maybe it would be chalk it up to pressure for big productions, but I guess we can't.
And now Gal Gadot has come out and said she had words with him, but when she addressed the issues to the higher ups, it was handled. So I imagine part of the handling of it was signing a non-disclosure contract, and therefore there's no more she can say about it. But yeah, like I said, there's too much on there. So
Yeah, it's too much to be just one person
Right. If
holding
it
a
was just,
grudge.
If it was just Ray, whose name I've forgotten, um,
Fisher, Ray Fisher.
Ray Fisher, thank you. Then maybe, but then with everybody else coming out and saying the same thing, no.
Yeah, it's it's a tricky situation. In a weird way, I felt kind of obligated to watch the 4-hour cut just to get the Whedon cut out of my mind.
Yeah, very much so. The other thing that that was changed, I think, for the better was the when Steppenwolf sets up in Russia, he sets up in an abandoned area
Mhm.
so that there could be a full knockdown battle and nobody has to worry about being what do we look? What's the word I'm looking for here? Civilian casualties. That's what I'm looking for. And that was very different from what Joss Whedon did because he said, "Oh, I want to show the picture on the ground. I want to have the little family trying to board up their house and hide from the parademons." And okay, sure, but I don't know. I felt like that was a bizarre kind of addition to the film when I first saw it, and then when I saw the Snyder Cut and saw that it was not present there, I was like, well, that's kind of good because now we can have our heroes that do big punches and knock down a few buildings, and nobody's around but them.
Right.
So,
and I like how they made actually there's a whole other objective that Steppenwolf was trying to get that made make the risks and the reasons more believable and fleshed out.
Yeah.
In the Snyder Cut.
And the appearance of Darkseid was very good. The inclusion of Darkseid to give sort of that Thanos motivator that Darkseid and Thanos are very similar in their own way anyway. So having the appearance of Darkseid there, and then at the very end he says, "Fine, I'll do it my way," and walks away, and you think, "Oh crap! Okay, now we're gonna have two more Justice League movies with Darkseid coming down to Earth himself instead of Steppenwolf." And I'm down. I'm extremely down with that. I'm much more than I was with what I felt was the kids' version ending of the Joss Whedon version. Oh no, Steppenwolf smells like fear, so all the guys are going to eat him now. No, just have Wonder Woman cut off his head and we'll be done with it.
Right.
So yeah, Steppenwolf himself was much more enjoyable as a villain.
Yeah, they beefed him up CGI wise and made him actually look formidable.
Yeah,
which in the original one I remember thinking, I was not impressed with him.
Yeah, he was like kind of odd.
And it's any action movie when the writers need to come at it from the who's my bad guy and what's his background instead of making him a trope or that. You've got to make them impressive.
Yeah.
Marvel villains are a great way to look at that, especially in the Black Panther. When the villain's someone that you're like, he's got a point, that's a good villain.
Yeah. When you have a hard time disagreeing with him, you're like, I think that even Zemo, in his own evil way, Baron Zemo, is a somewhat sympathetic villain in that same regard. He watched the Avengers tear his home country apart, and then was like, no, I'm not sitting still for this. I'm going to use all of my resources to shut this down. So
not to be confused with Baron Zemo.
Baron Zemo, they discontinued Zemo. This was the saddest day of my life.
Oh, you like that stuff?
I loved that stuff. One of the drunkest I've ever been was off of 17 Zemas. Tell you that story another time.
I used to work as a bouncer at a comedy club and back in the mid 90s, and people loved that stuff, especially it stick like a lime or a lemon wedge.
Yeah, it was delicious. No,
You mean back in the late 1900s?
Yes. The late
1900s. I read that one too. I was like,
it's like, well, he says that, and I'm like, oh, that hurts.
No, the late 1900s, I quit a job, and everybody was so proud of me for standing up to the boss by quitting that we all went out to party afterwards, and everybody it was what do they call it? Happy hour. So you buy one, you get two, and everybody bought me Zimas.
Wow.
And there's no joke. There's like 17 Zimas lined up on the deck. I gotta drink them all. And then
Like they're like Pokemon.
and then I walked home, and I was up all night with no sleep, and I beat Gauntlet Legacy on the Nintendo 64.
Wow.
So
There you go.
there you go. That's my
And
drunk
that
on
was
Zeman story.
that was life in the late 1900s.
In the late 1900s, with my petticoats and everything. Yes.
I like how the bottles were like had like these like hard ridge turns on it. It's like they weren't perfectly round. They were like, if I remember correctly, they had these panels that were like flat panels, basically. Is how
I
the
think I
bottle
remember
was
that.
designed.
Yeah. It was kind of octagonal or whatever. Yeah. That's not the right word, but
No,
yeah.
it had more sides than that, but it's similar.
Pentagonal.
So back to Justice League.
Justice League. Sorry.
So like our one viewer is mentioning how he was iffy on the end credit scene, because there were two end credit thingies, weren't there? There's the one with the boat and
Oh sure, yeah.
And again, spoilers. So anybody who's like actually going to care about spoilers, unlike Guy, you probably don't want to listen to this until after you've seen the show, the movie. I mean, the boat one, I was just okay with it. It wasn't like anybody super awesome. I don't like that Lex Luthor.
I think he has his moments, but I loved the bit with the Joker. That made me not hate what's his face as Joker. Because every other thing I've seen with what's his face as Jared Leto as Joker, I'm like, you're not good in this role. But that last scene, there was like, okay, all right, maybe you do have a little bit of Joker down, you know?
He was the victim of a bad script for Suicide Squad.
Yeah, that's generally true.
He should not have been in that film. Just the film didn't need him.
No.
But the people who made it are like, well, we can't have a DC movie without the Joker in it. It's like,
yeah, we can't have a Harley movie without a Joker.
Yeah.
Right, except that we can, and we did quite
and
well.
We can, and it was, yeah.
But,
Didn't like
I have opinions about Harley that get deeper and sideways and stuff.
Mm.
Well, it looked like the movies are following the comic to where she breaks up with him.
Yeah,
that's what I was hoping for.
Yeah,
well,
and maybe
more
he hangs
than
out
that,
with Ivy.
Yeah, something else you may not know, Guy, is that Margot Robbie herself has bought the rights to the character, and if you see Harley played by her, she has control of what Harley does, which is why Harley is fully dressed in the trailers for the new Suicide Squad.
Right, the new Suicide Squad, I am much more interested in.
Yeah.
So,
but definitely the Harley movie is worth seeing because it mentions how she's broken up. And that's a big plot point in it because all of a sudden all these other villains who hate Harley are like, oh, you no longer have the Joker's protection. We're coming after you.
Which is cool.
So, yeah.
The first Suicide Squad, I was like, and then all the kids started, like, all these girls are like 11 and they're wearing like all that stuff. I'm like, Harley's broken, right?
Yeah.
I watch Suicide Squad because I will watch a horrible movie just because Will Smith's in it.
Wow, that's true.
Because I love his films.
I will point the finger back at you, Guy. In 1988, I idolized Tetsuo from Akira.
Oh, yeah.
I thought he was the most amazing character. I thought he was incredible. I watched it again on the 25th anniversary, and I thought, oh, God, I've been idolizing a psychopath.
Right? Well,
and we all change and grow.
I like the Dirty Pair. Now I watch the Dirty Pair, and I'm like,
I've got your Dirty Pair.
Hello.
I really like the Punisher, and reasons have changed, but same thing. When I was a teenager, I was idolizing a psychopath because I thought, vigilanteism was cool. But as you mature and get older, you realize that's not what you should be idolizing.
Exactly. You're idolizing the wrong thing. So,
and we have all matured. I mean, we are all much older than we used to be, and we're wiser and
somewhat,
except for Troy. But,
Troy.
Yeah. But I mean, like I remember you and I, all three of us, we've gone through phases where now I'm kind of like, wish I didn't go through that phase. I think you had posted something similar to that just recently, and I thought,
Somewhat,
yeah,
yeah. There's more to that, but yeah, basically. I couldn't be where I am now if I hadn't been where I was then.
that's what I was thinking too. There's a lot of growth that's gone through different. But yeah, looking back, there are eras of my entire existence that I'm just like, that's cringeworthy.
Yep. Yep.
So
It's
what's
all right.
interesting with the Justice League Snyder Cut too, and this will help you out when you do go to watch it, Guy, is it is broken into chapters.
Okay.
So Snyder
I could watch a
actually
chapter at a time or whatever.
right
Sure.
now the chapters are not balanced time wise; they're
That's
balanced as blocks of stories.
That's
So
totally cool because I can that it's not a matter of time necessarily so much as a matter of conceptualizing in my head that I've got to block out 4 hours for this
Right.
somewhere along the line.
This is
But if
something
I
that just
think I'll
occurred
just
to me.
watch 1 or 2 chapters of it and then call it for the night, and then watch 1 or 2 chapters tomorrow night and call it for a night. That's something that I can do.
That's what I ended up doing. I actually split it in half.
Yeah.
I watched up to the midway point to the chapters. And the cool thing is I kind of wanted to keep going. And I'm like, well, no, I told myself this is when I'm going to stop for time's sakes. And I have time set aside for tomorrow to finish it. So it that was good. You know, it didn't end and I'm like, I'm not going to waste 2 more hours on this. So really the only thing that actually bothered me with it was they used the exact same piece of music every time for the Amazons. And it starts to get monotonous the way that like a video game, when you start playing, it's like, oh, I'm on this level again. And it's that same music over again. It would have been nice for them to vary it up. And I don't know if that's just because I'm so focused on soundtracks and music, and maybe it's just a Troy thing, but I saw a lot of memes about it too. So
did
I know
they pull the
just
Amazon theme from Wonder Woman?
I believe it's the same one. And it probably gets used about 10 times.
Yeah, and you got a point though. I mean, that was one of the things I noticed was that the music for that film was all over. It was over here and it was over there, and then of course there's the repeating stuff. Yeah, the music is odd. I'll say that much. And I just
if
sort
they're
of chalked it up to
reassembling it, though, I could see that it'd be one of those they couldn't really get, you know, a 60-piece orchestra together.
Sure.
To rescore the movie just because nobody liked Joss Whedon's version. You know what I mean? I can kind of see that. So maybe they were just pilfering pieces from all of the other movies until they had all the pieces together.
But it by far, it's nowhere near ruining the film. It's just the thing that kind of stuck out to me.
Yeah, that's very true.
But it's like if it was the Troy's cut, then that would be one of the things I would change. It would have different music in it for those points. But yeah, it's I definitely think it's worth watching, even broken into chapters like that, if you like consuming DC material. Personally, though, I would say if you have to choose between one or the other, watch Doom Patrol, because Doom Patrol is awesome, and it is not for kids. It's it starts off. It's like, oh, I when I was watching it, I was like, after the first like 40 minutes, I'm like, I think my kids, or the first episode, I was like, oh, my kids could watch this, or maybe Tara could watch this. And then like a couple of episodes down, there's just blood and gore everywhere, and I'm like, nope, not for kids. So Doom Patrol is about superheroes you never heard of, other than Cyborg, who shows up later, and it's complex story writing that could. I love movies and TV shows that could be a role-playing game. And so all the characters in it, I could see as somebody playing them in a role-playing game, with it being told by a GM, and those really hook me. And to me, Doom Patrol does that. Justice League: The Snyder Cut comes close, especially as Dan mentioned, when the group actually gets together, they start working as a team, which is what you want to see with a team movie,
right?
And so yeah, I don't know where I was going with that.
No, I think that's a good direction there, and I generally agree. I mean, I think, like I said elsewhere, it's worth the time. It's worth the rewatch, and it does not feel like 4 hours. You don't at any point think, oh God, no,
How
it
many
keeps
more
you.
hours are
Yeah,
left?
it keeps you hooked for all of those hours.
Oh, that's good. I like the idea that it's in chapters. I think that will encourage me to actually watch it. Because, like I said, I just have been sitting here going, don't know when I'll have 4 straight hours, But if I can watch a chapter or 2 a night, then it may take me a week, but I could get through it all.
Yeah. And like I said, some chapters may have been like 5 or 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And then some chapters may have been like 20 minutes. So it's just a matter, but it tells you, it'll say chapter 1 and it tells you how long it is. So you can do the math and figure out what you have time for when you plot out watching it.
And now I'm actually kind of curious to watch it for that. I mean, that seems like that'd be like a momentum breaker. So I'm curious how they pulled that off. I'm curious now.
There are 6 chapters, and I'm not sure. I don't think I agree with Troy's assessment of the time it took, but there are 6 of them, so you can break it up into 6 chunks.
Cool.
Are the times not the same?
By the way, while we are paused here, hi,
yes.
Michael. Good to see you, man.
You know what? You should do our sponsor.
Yes, we'll do sponsor identification. Hang on real quick, because I got to find my mouse. It went somewhere. I've got this new setup with all the monitors, and I set up the mouse to go the right direction, so it's not like off this monitor to this monitor to this monitor, which would be weird. But then I still forget where the heck everything went. So. Okay, well, as usual, Geek Take is sponsored by Kieran Games, Geekway Homes, Shiny Garden, and Your Mom. So
I found it here. The opening credit sequence is 9 minutes. Part 1 is 28 minutes. Part 2, 32 minutes. It looks like it goes 42, 30, 32, 41, 19, and then 9 minutes again. So it's interesting that the opening credits and end credits are both 9 minutes. And by credits, that of course means sequences in the credits. You have to watch the whole thing. So yeah, it's you can break it up into roughly half-hour segments, which is like an episode of a TV show. Yeah,
that's what I was saying. It's like if I really need to, I can just watch 30 minutes of it at a time. That's
have either of you? I don't know if you have Amazon Prime, but have you watched the new animated superhero show Invincible?
Not yet. It's on my list.
It's based off of a comic book that one of our previous Geek Tank members, hey, don't do it, Abby. The name was like, hey, you can't catch me, but I caught it. Abby, who is our comic book expert, loved or really liked. I don't know if I can say loved. I just know she really liked it. It's written by Robert Kirkman, the same fellow who writes Walking Dead. Don't hold that against the show. That's one of those where it was like at first, even though it was rated R or MA, I was like, this isn't so. Oh, now it's bad.
Yeah.
So, it's definitely a really interesting setup, and even 4 episodes in, I still don't know where they're going with the big mystery in it. They haven't given me enough clues to know why what happened, but I don't want to give any spoilers on that. Because of the role-playing games you had mentioned, was it Masked or no? There's a superhero Unmasked. It feels a lot like that. That would be an interesting system to run the thing that's going on in there. But yeah, if you're into superhero stuff and you don't mind mature audience rating material going on, that's one of those to check out.
Another one that might be interesting. I've seen only a trailer for it coming on Netflix called Jupiter's Legacy.
Jupiter's Legacy. That looks really interesting too.
Yeah, and I'm looking forward to that one. Apparently, also based on a comic. But the idea of superheroes getting old and passing their legacy on to their children, and their children not seeing things the same way that their parents did.
Yes.
I'm sure every parent on Earth can identify with that.
Mm-hmm.
So
I'm still stuck on For All Mankind. So we're still
that's the space thingy, right?
Yep, that's the alternate history. What if we didn't stop Apollo series on Apple Plus?
Oh,
And I think
And
it has the actor in it that is actually going to be that's in Suicide Squad, who's was in the show Altered Carbon, which I really like, and I can't remember his name now. But I think it's the same. That actor's in that show.
maybe.
I remember him mentioning the ridiculous diet he had to be on to be as cut as he is, and talking about how he hates eating kale.
Yeah.
Joel Kinnaman.
Thank you. So yeah, I haven't seen that space show. There's just too much media.
There's too much. I mean, really, it boils down to. I mean, that's why we're kind of breaking into this specialization. You know, I'm covering all of the space shows. I've watched all of Expanse. I'm completely up to date. You know, and now I'm into For All Mankind, and I was up to date. Then I had a problem logging in to Apple Plus the last couple of weeks, so I'm now 2 episodes down. So, but it's the second season wasn't as gripping as the first season was. The first season I binge watched in 2 days. I didn't get any work done. I just couldn't stop. It was like, I was like, it was horrible. It was like, well, it was horrible and awesome at the same time. But second season was a lot calmer. They jumped forward into the 80s, and though it's super nostalgic, it's slower too. So
I'm trying to remember. There's been a couple of shows like that where one of them definitely was Umbrella Academy.
yeah,
Where it's just I could not. It was almost impossible to stop going directly into the next episode.
right.
And I've forgotten what the other one was, but I figured out the trick because they had a pattern. They would end on a cliffhanger and then resolve that cliffhanger in like the first 5 or 10 minutes of the next episode.
Right.
So what you do is you watch the first 5-10 minutes of the next episode, resolve the cliffhanger, and then stop. And then you're good. But if you watch to the end, you get caught by another cliffhanger.
It was the problem was that with For All Mankind, it was one thing that then led to a different thing that then led to a further complicated thing, to a further ending up with an Apollo like out of trajectory heading away from the moon sort of thing. And it was like, crap. I just got to see whether they survive. I mean, you know. So,
and then they all die, and you're like, oh.
Yeah. So it was just like, man, it was just so brutal. It was like, it started with a pad fire, and that was pretty dramatic. But then that caused like this cascade effect for like 6 episodes, where because of the pad fire, they couldn't get Apollo 23 up to service Apollo 24, and then Apollo 24 had a malfunction on its. You know, it's like. I just couldn't stop watching it.
On Apollo 15, and all the lunch meat was on Apollo 3.
Yeah. And if you know anything about the original space program, that's actually like a lot of stuff that kind of happened. The faulty oxygen tank that was on Apollo 13 that ruptured was originally on Apollo 11, but then they moved it to they just pulled it out and moved it because they were going to try something else on Apollo 11. And so it could have stopped the entire space program right there, you know, if the explosion of Apollo 13 and it's like this whole, just one piece of hardware that got moved to a different ship, and you're like, so that's sort of what they were exploring was this, you know, for want of a nail, the shoe was lost. For one of a shoe, the horse was lost. You know, and it's like that was sort of what they were headed for, and so it was well done.
Well, if this was a Cisco and Ebert, to throw back to you the late 1900s again, doing the thumbs up and thumbs down, which is a really horrible way to determine movies since they're all so subjective. I think I'd have to say for both Justice League and Godzilla vs. King Kong, if you're the kind of person who would like those kinds of films, you know who you are, and you've probably already made up your mind that you're going to see it or you're not going to see it. I don't think either falls into a category where I would recommend them to somebody who is not into the genres.
Right.
Which is rare, but sometimes it does happen. I'll see a film and go, I thought that was an amazing film and hit so many high notes on all the different levels that somebody should see it type thing. Like Raiders of the Lost Ark. That's one of those that I don't care if you're into action films or not. You should see this film.
Yeah, that's you just have to see it.
But yeah, I enjoyed both King Kong and Justice League. So there you go.
I shall report back to you.
Okay. You better expect book reports.
Right?
Yep. On my desk Monday morning.
At least a page, both sides.
No double spacing.
No double
Right?
spacing.
Single spaced.
Well, thank
Not
you, Dan.
in pen.
Not a
Thank you for
problem.
joining.
Thanks, you guys.
Thank you for being here, my friend. I appreciate it. And that's all the time that we have for today. I've been Guy.
I've been Troy.
And this is Geek Tank.